more diseases and disorders for which this is a useful medicine than any other substance under the sun. And I didn't say it was going to cure all these diseases and disorders, people, but I know people who can see because they use marijuana. I know people who can walk because they use marijuana. I know people who are alive because they use marijuana as medicine. But this pharmaceutical system we have, they have a big problem with marijuana. And I think I know why. Could it be because when I hand you a seeded marijuana flower, I'm handing you and all your future generations free medicine for the rest of your lives? Just take a seed out of that flower, put it in a flower pot, put it in a windowsill, put it in the front yard, put it in the backyard, put it anywhere. From Maine to Texas, Florida to Alaska, outgrows everything else under the sun, and you and your grandkids have free medicine. Did they tell you that George Washington's advice to the American farmer was make the most of hemp seed, plant it everywhere? They didn't tell you any of this in your school books? They didn't tell me any of this. You know, there were 20,000 different things being made out of this plant when they made it illegal. I'm not just talking about road people. I'm talking about paints, varnishes, plastics, dynamite, cellophane. I look around today, and all those 20,000 things that used to be made out of this plant, guess what? They're all made out of petrochemicals today. #1 cause of world pollution and the greenhouse effect. We do not have mandatory minimum sentencing guidelines for armed robbers, murderers, or rapists. We have them for multiple sclerosis patients who cultivate marijuana in their basement. That's not all people. Before you can even get a lawyer to defend yourself, they're going to take everything you own. All your money, your car, your house, that's theirs. It's called forfeiture, and it makes a lot of money every year. I told you marijuana was the easiest commodity on the face of the earth to actually produce, and that's true. It's the only plant that grows from the Arctic Circle to the equator. The real price of marijuana, people, is not $5,000 a pound. It's $1 a pound. And we give $4,999 to criminals to create criminal cartels to corrupt our system. And even if we stop this insane funding of these criminals right now today, we're going to live for the rest of our lives with the criminal cartels that have grown up around drug prohibition. But we don't have a problem with marijuana because many of us believe with all our hearts that it is truly the sacrament of our culture. And yet, on my way to this peace gathering, I must run a phalanx of state narcotics, local law enforcement, sheriff's department. My kids got to watch me dragged out of my car while they put the drug dogs on me. I know what it's like to be a persecuted minority in America. I have lived this life for 30 years, people. If you get nothing else out of tonight, I would like you to understand one thing. We are good people. We're raising our grandkids. We've done a lot of good things for America. We're as American as baseball and apple pie. We're not going to take over the country. We're not going to turn the Joint Chiefs into the Joint Smoking Chiefs. You have nothing to fear from us.
And what Steve Hager has just done with you for the past 15 minutes is present opinion, anecdote, and personal experience as fact. And if you happen to like what he said, you shook your head and applauded for him. I challenge you to make me tell you the truth. But at the same time, I urge you to intellectually do not give him a free ride. If he says something, make him be honest with you too. You 4 very intellectual sounding reasons why marijuana should be made legal. And left out the single most important. I will argue with you that most people who want cannabis made legal, frankly, do not give a damn about hemp products, are not particularly worried about the counterculture, and don't think of it as a medicine. It is their recreational drug of choice. And I want it legal because I want to be able to use it to get high when I want. But then Steve will tell you, oh, we've voted on this in 11 states, and people ought to be able to vote on good medicine. Let me tell you something, guys. There are stupid policies on both of our sides of the issue. I do not believe, for instance, it is appropriate to throw anyone in prison for the use of any drug. I think that's a stupid government policy that ends up not making the problem any better. So we got stupid policies on our side. Allowing someone to vote on medicine is as stupid as that. We should make decisions on what's good medicine based on what scientists and physicians find. In 1999, Canada legalized growing hemp, as you probably know. You can buy, sell hemp clothes, hemp oil, hemp paper. Everything Steve wants in the United States has been legal in Canada since 1999. In 1999, 277 companies were licensed to grow and sell hemp. You know how many there are in 2007? 11. All the others went bankrupt. Let me read to you, if I may, from a right-wing conservative website and see what they say about accidents in cannabis. The responsible cannabis user never operates a motor vehicle after smoking cannabis, as it may lead to accidents. Gee, what right-wing fundamentalist group said that? It's on the front page of the NORML website, National Organization to Reform of Marijuana Law, the #1 advocacy group in the United States. It appears that about 14% of users become dependent. Steve and I did a TV show about a year and a half. A young lady sitting in the front row stood up, and I'll never forget what she said. She said, "I've been smoking grass every day of my life for 20 years, and I can quit anytime I want." Yeah, why have I seen that movie so many times? A lot of you in this room know people who use cannabis occasionally. A lot of you in this room know people who, instead of using cannabis as part of their life, cannabis becomes their life. I will absolutely agree we should make marijuana legal the day the majority of the American people wants recreational use of marijuana made legal. I think we should make it legal, period. But the problem is Steve's way behind on that. The most recent study showed that only 26% of Americans want recreational use even decriminalized. But the day they do, I think we should.
Because studies can be manipulated. And the people that have the money to pay for the studies, you'd be surprised how many times they can rig that study to make sure it says exactly what they want to say. So while you're Googling those studies, I want you to look up one that came out of the University of Berkeley about 15 years ago, because they did a study. They looked at teenagers who had experimented with marijuana. And then, what happened later in life? And you know what they found out? The kids who used marijuana were better adjusted and more mentally healthy than the kids who did nothing at all. Okay, it is true, hemp is more expensive than cotton or tree pulp. But it's not more expensive if you think about your future generations on this planet and what kind of world you want to live for them. What do you want to leave your kids? Do you want to leave them a dead planet? Then keep using the oil, because they'll keep pumping it out.
If hemp is the answer to the going green problem in the United States, and honestly I hope he's right, how come no advocate of greening the world, like Al Gore, ever suggests, gee, instead of cotton, we ought to produce hemp? How come you never hear it from any of the experts?